Have you ever wondered why inner peace feels so distant, even when life seems calm? What if the way you've been looking for it is what's been keeping it away? Most people believe peace comes after problems are solved, after the noise quiets down, after life becomes easier, after things finally go their way. But what if that belief itself is the reason peace feels so far away? If you are listening to this, chances are you have tried to be calm while the world keeps pulling at you. You may feel overwhelmed, emotionally tired, or quietly longing for stillness that never seems to last. And yet, something inside you already knows there must be another way. Buddhism teaches that peace is not the absence of chaos. It is the ability to remain steady within it. This is not a talk about escaping reality. It is about learning how to live fully without being controlled by fear, anger, or restlessness. These are 6 Buddhist lessons on how to find inner peace in any situation. Listen gently, let the words meet you where you are, and allow this moment to become a place of rest. Let us begin. Lesson 1. Stop arguing with reality. One of the greatest sources of inner conflict is not what happens to us. It is our resistance to what is already happening. In Buddhism, suffering does not come from pain alone. It comes from the mind saying, "This should not be happening." Think about how often your thoughts fight reality. You replay conversations wishing someone had spoken differently. You wish circumstances were easier. You compare the present moment to how things used to be or how they should become. Each time you do this, you create a quiet inner war. The Buddha taught that peace begins when we stop demanding that life match our expectations. This does not mean giving up or becoming passive. It means seeing clearly, without denial, without judgment. Ask yourself gently, what am I resisting right now? What am I mentally arguing with? What moment am I refusing to accept? Acceptance does not say, "I like this." Acceptance says, "This is here." When you stop fighting reality, something softens inside you. Your breath deepens. Your shoulders release. Your mind becomes less sharp, less defensive. Imagine holding a rope and pulling with all your strength, only to realize no one is pulling back. The tension was never necessary. Peace does not come from controlling life. It comes from cooperating with it. This lesson is especially powerful during moments you cannot change: loss, uncertainty, waiting, disappointment. The mind wants resolution, but peace comes from presence. Try this simple Buddhist practice. When something unpleasant arises, silently say, "This too belongs," not because you want it, but because it already exists. By allowing reality to be as it is, you conserve energy that was once spent resisting. That energy becomes calm. That calm becomes clarity. The moment you stop arguing with life, life stops feeling like an enemy. Peace begins here. Lesson 2. Learn to pause before you react. Inner peace is often lost, not because of what happens, but because of how quickly we react. A word is spoken, a message arrives, a memory surfaces, and before you are aware of it, your body tightens, your emotions surge, and your mind begins telling stories. Buddhism teaches that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies freedom. Most suffering happens when we skip the space. We react out of habit, defensiveness, anger, guilt, fear. These reactions were learned over time, often to protect us. But what once protected you may now disturb your peace. The Buddha emphasized mindfulness as the ability to see what is arising before acting on it. Pause does not mean suppression. Pause means awareness. When something triggers you, try this. Do not fix, do not explain, do not respond immediately. Instead, notice. What am I feeling in my body? Where is the tension? What emotion is asking to be seen? You may discover that beneath anger is hurt. Beneath irritation is exhaustion. Beneath fear is a desire to feel safe. When you pause, emotions lose their power to control you. They become visitors, not commanders. This is how inner peace grows, not by eliminating emotions, but by no longer being dragged by them. Here is a simple Buddhist grounding practice. Take one slow breath in, then one slow breath out, and silently name what is present. Thinking, anger, sadness, restlessness. Naming creates distance. Distance creates choice. Choice creates peace. You do not have to react to every thought. You do not have to follow every feeling. You do not have to answer every call from the mind. Peaceful people are not those with fewer triggers. They are those who have learned to pause. And with each pause, you reclaim a small piece of freedom. Lesson 3. Return to the present moment again and again. If there is one place where inner peace can always be found, it is not in answers, solutions, or future outcomes. It is in the present moment. Yet the present moment is often the place we visit the least. The mind prefers to travel. It moves into the past, replaying old conversations, regrets, and missed chances. Or it rushes into the future, imagining problems that have not arrived, creating fear before it is needed. Buddhism teaches that this wandering mind is the root of restlessness. The Buddha did not promise a life without difficulty. He taught a way to stop multiplying suffering through unnecessary mental movement. When you are fully present, you are not fighting memories or chasing certainty. You are simply here, and here is enough. Being present does not mean forcing your mind to be empty. That is a misunderstanding. Presence means allowing whatever is happening to happen, without resistance, without commentary, without judgment. Notice how often your inner dialogue says, "This moment should be different. I need to be somewhere else. This isn't enough." Each of these thoughts pulls you away from peace. The present moment is not dramatic, it is subtle. That is why the mind overlooks it. Peace is quiet. It does not announce itself. It waits for your attention. Try this now, gently. Notice where your body is touching the surface beneath you. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice the rhythm of your breath. Nothing needs to change. In Buddhism, the breath is not used to control the mind, but to anchor it. The breath is always happening now. When your attention rests on it, the mind returns home. You may notice how quickly thoughts arise. Planning, remembering, judging. This is not a mistake. The practice is not stopping thought. The practice is noticing without following. Each time you notice the mind wandering and bring it back, you strengthen awareness. This is how peace becomes stable. The present moment also teaches humility. You realize how little control you truly have, and instead of fear, this realization brings relief. You stop carrying the weight of the entire future. You stop reliving the entire past. You only carry this breath, this step, this moment. Buddhism teaches that when the mind is fully present, suffering loosens its grip. Pain may still exist, but the extra layer of mental resistance fades. You stop asking, "How long will this last? Why is this happening to me? What does this mean about my life?" And instead, you simply experience. Presence turns ordinary moments into places of rest. Washing your hands, drinking water, sitting quietly. These moments become peaceful not because they are special, but because you are no longer divided. When body and mind are in the same place, peace arises naturally. You do not need to be calm to be present. You become calm by being present. And each time you return, you remember, peace was never missing, it was only unattended. Lesson 4. Make peace with impermanence instead of resisting it. One of the deepest reasons inner peace feels fragile is because we quietly expect life to stay the same. We want emotions to remain pleasant. We want relationships to feel secure. We want our bodies, circumstances, and sense of identity to hold still. But Buddhism teaches a truth that is both sobering and freeing. Everything changes. Impermanence, known in Buddhism as anicca, is not a flaw in life. It is the nature of life itself. When you forget this truth, the mind begins to suffer. When you remember it, peace becomes possible again. Much of your inner tension does not come from change itself, but from resisting it. You may notice this resistance in subtle ways, wishing a phase of life had not ended, replaying moments you want to return to, or fearing what might be lost next. The mind clings because it believes stability equals safety. But nothing that is born into time can remain fixed. The Buddha did not teach impermanence to create detachment from life, but to soften our grip on it. When you expect permanence from temporary things, disappointment is inevitable. When you accept change as natural, the heart becomes lighter. Consider how often peace is disturbed by thoughts like, "This should not have changed. I am losing something. I want things to go back to how they were." Each of these thoughts pulls you into suffering. Impermanence invites a different relationship with life, not one of control, but one of presence. You stop demanding guarantees and start meeting each moment as it arrives. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. Clinging creates fear. Fear creates tension. Tension blocks peace. When you truly understand impermanence, you begin to appreciate moments without anxiety. You no longer rush through joy fearing its end, nor do you panic during difficulty believing it will last forever. Instead, you say quietly, "This is here now." In Buddhism, this understanding is deeply comforting. It reminds you that painful emotions will change, confusion will shift, Uncertainty will transform. Even the sense of being lost is temporary. You are not broken because things are changing. You are alive. Impermanence also helps you release old identities. You are not required to remain who you once were. Roles fall away, priorities evolve. What once defined you may no longer fit, and that is not failure. That is growth. The suffering begins when you compare who you are now with who you used to be. But Buddhism teaches that the self is not a fixed object. It is a process, a movement, a flowing experience. You are not meant to freeze yourself in time. Think of a river. It is always moving, yet we still call it a river. Your life is the same. Change does not erase you, it reveals you. When you stop resisting impermanence, gratitude naturally appears. You stop assuming moments will always be there, and instead you honor them while they are present. A conversation feels more precious. A quiet morning feels more sacred. A simple breath feels more alive. Impermanence turns ordinary moments into gifts. There is also deep peace in knowing that you do not have to hold on to everything. Some things are meant to pass through you, not stay with you. Some chapters are meant to close. Here is a gentle Buddhist reflection you can practice. When something pleasant arises, say, "May I enjoy this," without clinging. When something difficult arises, say, "This too will change." Not to dismiss experience, but to remain balanced within it. Inner peace does not come from freezing life. It comes from flowing with it. When you make peace with impermanence, you stop fighting time. You stop fearing loss as intensely. You stop measuring your worth by what remains unchanged. Instead, you develop trust. Trust in your ability to adapt, to endure, to remain present even as things shift. And slowly, quietly, peace becomes less dependent on circumstances and more rooted in understanding. Nothing needs to stay the same for you to be at peace. You only need to stop asking life to be something other than what it is, and in that acceptance, peace settles naturally. Lesson 5. Cultivate inner peace through compassion toward yourself and others. Many people search for inner peace by trying to remove discomfort from their lives. They avoid difficult emotions, challenging people, and painful memories. But Buddhism teaches a different path. Peace is not found by pushing life away, but by meeting it with compassion. Compassion is often misunderstood as softness or weakness. In Buddhism, compassion is clarity. It is the ability to see suffering, your own and others, without turning away. It is the courage to remain open where the heart wants to close. Inner peace grows naturally when compassion replaces judgment. Notice how often your mind criticizes itself. You replay mistakes. You question past decisions. You compare yourself to who you think you should be. This inner harshness creates constant tension. Even when life is calm, the mind remains unsettled. The Buddha taught that suffering increases when the mind becomes its own enemy. Ask yourself gently, would I speak to someone I love the way I speak to myself? If the answer is no, compassion is needed. Self-compassion does not mean ignoring responsibility or growth. It means recognizing that you are human. You have acted with the level of awareness you had at the time. you learned by living. Every version of you was doing the best it could under the circumstances it faced. When you soften toward yourself, peace enters. Try this quiet practice. Place a hand on your chest, breathe slowly, and silently say, "May I be kind to myself in this moment." These words are not magical. Their power lies in intention. They remind the nervous system that it is safe to relax. Buddhism teaches that inner peace cannot exist while self-punishment continues. You cannot heal in an environment of constant criticism. Compassion also extends outward. Many people disturb their own peace by carrying resentment toward others. Old wounds, unspoken anger, lingering bitterness. The mind replays the past, keeping pain alive long after the moment has passed. The Buddha taught that holding on to anger is like holding a burning coal, hoping it will hurt someone else. In reality, it burns the one holding it. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is releasing yourself from the burden of reliving pain. You can acknowledge that someone hurt you without allowing that hurt to define your inner world. Compassion does not mean excusing harmful behavior. It means understanding that suffering often creates suffering. When you see this clearly, the heart loosens its grip. A helpful reflection is, just like me, this person wants to be free from pain. This does not erase boundaries, it restores peace. Compassion also transforms how you move through daily life. Instead of seeing people as obstacles, you begin to see them as fellow travelers. Each person you encounter is carrying unseen struggles, fears, and hopes. When you recognize this, your reactions soften. A delayed response feels less personal. A sharp word feels less threatening. A disagreement feels less dangerous. You stop taking everything as an attack. This shift does not make you passive, it makes you grounded. Buddhism teaches that peace grows when you respond instead of react. Compassion creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, wisdom appears. You may notice that when you approach situations with compassion, your body relaxes, your breath deepens, the mind becomes less defensive. Peace is not only a mental state, it is a physical experience. Compassion also includes patience. Patience with healing, patience with growth, patience with life unfolding at its own pace. Many people disturb their peace by rushing themselves, believing they should be further along, more healed, more certain. The Buddha taught that everything unfolds according to conditions. You cannot force a flower to bloom faster. You can only provide the right environment. Compassion is that environment. When you stop pushing yourself, life stops pushing back. Here is a simple daily practice to cultivate compassion. When you notice tension, silently repeat, "May I meet this moment with kindness." When you encounter others, silently repeat, "May we both find peace." These phrases gently reorient the mind toward understanding instead of resistance. Over time, compassion becomes a habit, and habits shape experience. Inner peace does not arrive all at once. It grows quietly, nourished by each moment of gentleness you offer to yourself and to the world. When compassion becomes your way of being, peace no longer feels fragile. It becomes stable, resilient, and deeply rooted. You realize that you do not need to protect yourself from life. You can meet it with an open heart, and that openness becomes peace. Lesson 6. Be your own light. As you walk further along the path of inner peace, there comes a quiet moment of realization. No one else can live this life for you. No teacher, no philosophy, no relationship, no circumstance can fully carry you. At some point, you are invited to trust yourself. In Buddhism, the Buddha offered a profound instruction near the end of his life. Be a lamp unto yourselves. This was not a call to ego or isolation. It was an invitation to inner responsibility. The Buddha was reminding his students that peace does not come from depending on external guidance forever, but from cultivating wisdom within. Many people search endlessly for reassurance. They look for signs, validation, approval, and certainty from the outside world. They hope someone else will tell them what to do, who to be, or how to feel. But this constant outward searching keeps the mind unsettled. Inner peace begins when you learn to trust your own awareness. Being your own light does not mean rejecting help or wisdom from others. It means not abandoning yourself when life becomes uncertain. It means learning to sit with questions without demanding immediate answers. The mind often believes peace will come once everything is figured out. Buddhism teaches the opposite. Peace comes when you stop requiring certainty to feel safe. Notice how often discomfort arises from thoughts like, I don't know what I'm doing. What if I choose wrong? I need more clarity before I can rest. These thoughts assume that clarity must arrive before peace, but peace is what allows clarity to emerge. When you become your own light, you stop outsourcing your inner stability. You begin to recognize that awareness itself is trustworthy. You learn to listen, not to fear, but to insight. This listening is quiet. It does not shout. It does not rush. Often the wisest guidance arrives as a feeling of ease or unease, a subtle sense of alignment or resistance. Being your own light means respecting these signals even when they contradict expectations. The Buddha taught mindfulness not as a technique, but as a way of seeing. When you observe your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without being consumed by them, wisdom arises naturally. You begin to notice patterns. What brings calm? What creates tension? What drains you? What nourishes you? This awareness becomes your compass. When you stop blindly following impulses or external pressures, peace becomes more stable. You are no longer constantly pulled in different directions. You move with intention. Being your own light also means taking responsibility for your inner world. You stop blaming others for how you feel. You stop waiting for circumstances to change before allowing yourself to be at peace. This does not mean ignoring injustice or hardship. It means recognizing that even in difficult conditions, you still have agency over how you meet life. The Buddha taught that the mind, when trained, can become a refuge, a place of safety that does not depend on external conditions. To be your own light is to build that refuge. You may notice resistance to this idea. The mind may say, "That's too much responsibility. What if I fail? I don't trust myself." These fears are natural, They arise because trusting yourself requires letting go of guarantees. But Buddhism reminds you, no one else can walk your path for you. Others can point the way, but you must take the steps. Being your own light does not require perfection. It requires honesty. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to learn. Wisdom grows through lived experience, not flawless decision-making. The Buddha did not teach blind faith. He encouraged inquiry. He invited people to test teachings against their own experience. You are encouraged to do the same. When something brings peace, clarity, and compassion, you move toward it. When something creates agitation, confusion, or harm, you step back. This is wisdom in action. Being your own light also means learning to sit in stillness without distraction. In silence, the mind often reveals what it has been avoiding. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. But within that discomfort lies insight. You begin to see that many of your fears are imagined. Many of your limitations are inherited beliefs. Many of your struggles come from not listening to yourself deeply enough. Stillness allows the inner light to become visible. You may also realize that peace does not require becoming someone else. You do not need to fix your personality, erase your history, or reinvent your identity. You simply need to relate to yourself with awareness. The light you are becoming is not something you add, it is something you uncover. As external noise fades, inner guidance becomes clearer. You begin to trust your pace. You stop comparing your journey to others. You move in alignment with your own truth. This alignment brings peace, not excitement, not constant happiness, but a quiet steadiness. Being your own light also means holding compassion for your own darkness. There will be moments of confusion, doubt, and fear. These moments do not mean you have lost your way. They are part of the path. The Buddha taught that wisdom includes understanding suffering, not denying it. When darkness arises, you do not turn away. You bring awareness to it. Awareness itself is light. Over time, you realize something profound. You have always carried what you were searching for. Guidance was never absent. It was simply drowned out by noise. Now, as you learn to listen, peace no longer feels borrowed. It feels earned. It feels grounded. It feels yours. To be your own light is not to shine brighter than others. It is to walk steadily, guided from within, no longer afraid of the dark. And in that steady light, inner peace becomes something you live, not something you chase. As we come to the end of this reflection, take a moment to notice your breath. Notice the quiet space you've created simply by listening. Inner peace is not something you need to chase or perfect. It is something you return to again and again through awareness, compassion, and trust in yourself. No matter what you are facing, you now know that peace is not outside of you. It lives within your way of seeing, your way of responding, and your willingness to meet life gently. If these teachings resonated with you, let them walk with you beyond this moment. Let them guide your choices, soften your reactions, and remind you that you are never truly lost. If you would like more calm reflections, Buddhist wisdom, and mindfulness practices, consider subscribing to our channel, Mindfulness. Your presence here helps us continue sharing peace and clarity with others around the world. Thank you for being here. May you be calm. May you be present. May you live with ease.